afternoon, everyone. Welcome to iTOO TV, where we are broadcasting live from DroneCon at Emperor's Palace. And this afternoon, I am joined by Daniel, a very familiar face to us iTOOers and the rest of the insurance market. Daniel is from Optimum Group. Welcome, Daniel.
Hi, Tobit. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to join us.
Yeah.
Daniel, I have a very difficult question for you.
Go.
Let's start with the easy one. So Daniel, you in the broking space, you're in the insurance space, and you are an expert in all things drones. Can you tell us just the status of the market, the drone industry, and what you're seeing from a broker's perspective?
So it's a very fast moving market. Mm-hmm. It started out small about 6 years ago when we initiated the whole product and took it from the ground. Mm-hmm. But what we can see now, there's a large growth in the security and agricultural side. Mm-hmm. More of our clients in other spaces like engineering, insurance companies, mine facilities and so forth, they are starting to use drones more. Mm. But as you heard today from the whole conference, a drone's just a tool.
Yeah.
It's what you get off the drone. So it's the data that comes off it. Most of the people don't know what to do with the data.
Yeah.
They don't know how to process it, and that's the main thing that you have to look at. So these conferences like we had today is to expand more on what's going on in the industry, what it's all about. There's a massive hype around drones, and everybody wants to buy one, but there's also a safety and a safety aspect regarding it. So I think that's where we fit in, and we look after the liability side of it and to make sure everybody's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, from some of the interviews that we've had throughout the day and some of the talks that were given today, it sounds very exciting, as you rightly said, but it also could be quite complex if you don't understand the risks that you are faced as a drone owner. Can you just take us through some of the risks that you've seen from your perspective? Yeah,
so for the last 6 years, it changed. We started out with a lot of drone pilot errors, where a guy didn't calibrate the drone or didn't fly it in the correct space.
Yeah.
And then it started changing to where are you flying, what is the geographic area that you're looking at. Most of our claims changed into normal bird strikes.
Yeah.
Birds don't like drones at all, so note to self. But it changed, and I think from a how can I say, asset based, they're becoming more expensive.
Yeah.
So you're sitting with a drone that was 30,000 Rand when we started out.
Yeah.
I mean, our main drone that we insure today is 4.3 million Rand.
Sure.
So it's not all about the drone, it's about the payload that goes on top of it and that attaches to it. And if you look at that value of the asset, if you need to insure that, I think most of the people that come to us, that's their main concern.
Yeah.
But from a broker and from an insurer side, it's more guys that you take into account the liability.
Yeah.
If you fly a small drone, one of the speakers today mentioned that he said, if I fly Agris crop spray into you, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And if I fly a Mavic Mini into you, you're just going to be irritated a little bit. So it all depends on the size. And I think where we come in is we need to look at the liability.
Yeah.
A lot of people have a large exposure on where they fly. Today's talks were a lot about inspection drones, those small ball drones. They go into tight spaces. From our side is what happens if that things get stuck in there? How do we get it out?
Yeah.
These drones go into places where people can't go into.
Yeah.
So what is the repercussions behind that?
Yeah.
And I think that's the main focus that we want to show to the market and just explain to the guys. It's not just about the asset.
Yeah.
It's about what happens if something goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's amazing.
And what would you say to a person who says, in South Africa, we're not really litigious, so I'll worry about my asset, I'll cover it in the all-risk policy, and I'm not going to take the third-party liability cover on the drone?
I'll just say it's not covered. That's the honest and quick answer. So the problem that you're sitting with is a lot of guys have this perspective to say that don't worry, it is insured under my household policy, or I've added it on as an asset or all risk item, and I specified it. but it's a problem.
Yeah.
So it's not covered. It's excluded. There's large endorsements and large clauses on the policy wordings that exclude it, and that's why we brought this product to market.
Yeah.
6 years ago when we started, there wasn't something to insure drones on.
Yeah.
And we created something that's now available to the whole of Africa. We've got clients in Fiji, we've had claims in Fiji, we've had claims in Indonesia, we've got guys in DRC. It's all over the show. So I think the main thing is, this is a product that's developed specifically for drones. It doesn't tap into anything else, and that's why it works.
Yeah, yeah. So it's important for clients to actually understand what they're covered for, and not just accept that the all risk will cover them. They need to understand what exposures they're exposed to.
Exactly. And if you have a warranty under your drone, it's not going to cover you for bird strikes. It's not going to cover you if you drop the drone.
Yeah.
There are some limitations. You need to read the fine print.
Yeah. Tell us about one or two of your most interesting claims.
So we had a claim back in the day, the Fiji claim actually.
Yeah.
And the pilot was shooting a film for Survivor America. And they were filming on an island in Fiji, a very renowned film island.
Yeah.
And before he had to go there, to get access to the island, they used seaplanes. But before that, they used the normal runway. So the island's actually registered as a airport.
Okay.
So to fly close to an airport, you need to have permission from the local authorities.
Yes.
So the pilot got that, and they got all their permissions. And then secondly, he had to get a token from the drone manufacturer to actually override the system so that he could fly there. So it was a big deal just to operate a drone for a small period.
Yeah.
So he got a 30-day token, and they started flying, and they did the whole shoot. And so we think Survivor is 8 weeks long and 12 weeks long. It's actually 2 weeks. So they do it every day. So they were flying, and I think it was day 28. The drone disconnected from the token.
Ooh.
And it started saying you're in an unauthorized flying zone.
Yes.
And it said get out, and it gave the warnings. Pilot tried to take control, and the drone just flipped over, and he said, you can't fly here, auto land. And it auto landed in the ocean.
Oh no.
So drones,
with all the data?
With all the data. Well, they took off every day.
Okay.
But that specific film shoot was lost. That one day, or that hour, that hour that they flown.
So how would an insurer indemnify a client in that scenario?
So we paid out the camera, the drone, the batteries. The whole thing was settled. Luckily, the fish weren't hurt with the drone that landed in the ocean. So we were all good there. Data loss was an issue, but they luckily took another one out, started flying, and they had to redo the whole shoot.
Sure.
So I hope it wasn't a swimming session or something, because the survivors would have been a little bit tired.
Crazy.
But it was the most exciting claim. It took a long while to get it over the line.
Yeah.
For the main reason we had to check the the legalities of the flight.
Okay. So. And you're speaking about insuring a drone that is filming in Fiji, which is outside of the South African or the African territories. Is that something that's a norm, that you cover drones just irrespective of which geography it's in?
So our product's written in a way that it provides worldwide cover, but we've got exclusions on some sanctioned countries.
Okay.
So it's not an exclusion per se to say that we won't cover you there. It's more a thing of we need to know where you fly. So what we do at Optimum is we tell all our clients that before you go cross-border, let us give you a cross-border letter.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not going to cost you anything. It doesn't take time of ours. But we know, you know, all of us know that you're going across the border. So it's just a courtesy that we give. But also, you need, in most of the countries now, they've adapted to the regulations, and most of the African countries are following South Africa.
Okay.
So most of these countries, Botswana, Mozambique, and so forth, they will actually require you to have liability cover. And with that, we can follow into those countries. So if it's a South African citizen and South African company, we can cover you across the world. So we've got clients in very, very remote areas. We've got a research team currently in Congo.
Sure.
From there, they're going to Rwanda.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to see where these guys fly.
Yeah.
It's also scary because they need to get all the equipment there. There's traveling costs. You can't just take these batteries that they've got here, pop it in a bag and fly it over. Somebody has to travel there by road or by freight or something. So it's,
It sounds like there's quite a lot of detail that's involved in underwriting and making sure that the assets are covered properly. What are some of the things that you need to be disclosed up front so that you can underwrite and make sure that the client is covered adequately?
So the first thing that I do as a broker is we ask the questions, what is the client going to do? So before we do any paperwork or we start asking for documentations and legalities, we have the conversation of what the client's going to do. Because if you turn around and you just ask for proposal forms, the stuff that you get back doesn't tell the whole story. If I just say I do survey, there's a difference between doing a survey flying in an open area or doing a survey going into pipes and giving that data. So the risk changes. So what we do is we have a chat with the client, we find out more on what he does, and then we find a solution and we build something that suits him.
Okay.
But standard wordings is they require a proposal form. You need to be legal. So we can't insure commercial operators without the legalities. We can't go against the country's rules and regulations. So therefore we have a couple of documentations that we require, but I think the main perspective is we need to know what the guy's going to do. As I mentioned, just saying one word doesn't explain the whole scenario.
And maybe from a manufacturing side, I might be asking, might be out of scope for drones, it might be product liability. But from a manufacturing side, if you're manufacturing drones and you're supplying them to drone owners, what sort of risks should you look at? And is a drone policy something that would cover you for any faults or defects on the drone that you supply?
So not all policy. The main reason for it falls back to the manufacturer. So if they've got a defect on what they built, their warranty has to be in place. So it's a different type of policy. It's not something to do with the specific product, but there are products out there that the guys can look at. Our main objective is just to make sure the guy has all his ducks in a row and that he knows what he's going into. Most people buy drones and then realize, oh, but I had to have this and this and this in place, and oh, I can't do this, I can't use my drone for this, and that's a bad discussion. And we sometimes sound like the bad wolf in the whole thing, but it isn't the case. It's just those are the facts, and that's what we work with.
And Daniel, what are some of the things that private individuals who don't necessarily have RPL licenses and wouldn't necessarily then take out insurance cover, what are some of the things that they should be thinking about when they're flying drones over people's homes, over urban areas, dense areas, etc.?
So the regulation in South Africa, and I'm only going to talk about South African regulation. If we go into the other countries, it's just going to be a long day. And I had a long day already, so thank you for that. But I think the main reason is you just need to look at what the regulations in that specific country is. So I had a friend now that asked me for some advice. He's going on holiday, he's coming from Dubai, and he just wants to fly his small 240 gram Mavic in Botswana. But there's rules and regulations in that specific country. So I think the main thing to do is firstly, Google is not always your friend, but in this case it will be. There's a massive amount of nice websites that you can just go and look at the regulation. But even if you just go on the standard country's regulation or website where their civil aviation is, you'll be able to read up on what is permitted and what is not. If you look at the South African market, we've got a straightforward, you can't fly at night, you can't fly further than 500 meters, stay away from 50 meters from any road, building, people, even a dog, whatever. But the main thing is go and read up on the regulation, because before you enter into buying a drone, even if it costs 15,000 or 1 million rand, make sure that you understand, because we spoke about it today. There's a lot of guys that purchase aircraft and then only realize, yes, but I don't have these documentations.
Yeah.
And to get it sometimes it takes long. So for private operators, I love drones.
Yeah.
And I love people that use it.
Yeah.
That use it safely and make sure that you've got some form of liability insurance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love giving examples, but we had a flyaway where the drone started up, went haywire and just flew away. We still don't know where it is. We still don't know where it is. The data didn't show us where it ended.
Okay.
And there's no history of it. So the drone's gone.
So it
the problem is, where did it land?
Absolutely.
So take some form of liability cover.
Okay. And then just in closing, Daniel, I know you're very tired, but I just wanted to ask you, just in terms of yourself as an expert or a professional in the drone space, how important is it for somebody like you to be invested in a community of drone professionals and people who fly and live drones for a living, so that you can get all of the updates and information readily available and make yourself an expert in this particular environment? So
Tove, for me, I want to know what our clients are doing. So if I talk about a LiDAR scanner, or they come to us and they say they're going to use this type of camera, I want to understand what they're doing with it, because that changes the risk in what we are insuring.
Absolutely.
So if you just take the risk on and say, oh, it's a LiDAR scanner and let's go, that change of I'm putting it into a pipe and it's R1 million, or I'm flying in an open space, for me changes. So I like to be involved, and most of my clients understand that we're very, very involved with them, and we ask a lot of questions, but we don't irritate them. We just want to know more. But if we talk the same language, and that makes it a nice environment. The drone industry is a very small industry. A lot of people think this is the new wave of job creation, and it's not. It's a small industry that's very active, and yes, there's a lot of potential for drone pilots. But I think the main thing that all of us heard today is, it's what do you do with that data?
Absolutely.
It's just a tool.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing. This bottle that I've got here holds water. So it's the bottle, it's just a tool. So for me, we need to actually educate these people more. And Daryl Epstein spoke about it today, and he said that it's all good and well you can fly a drone. What do you do with it afterwards? What do you do when you get back? So I like to be involved, and it's good to know what our clients are doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you for your time. And it's
pleasure.
always a pleasure talking to you, always a pleasure working with you. And we're glad that iTOO is associated with Optimum. And we're looking forward to doing more business with you.
No, thank you very much. And yes, from Optimum side, we want to thank you guys. You've always been behind us, and you've always backed us. I think we've created a great product, and it's industry renowned. From Optimum side, we also want to thank iTOO for everything that you guys do. And we'll try and keep the claims down and grow the business.
That's why we're here. Insurance is here to pay claims, but keep them down. Thank you very much, Daniel. And thank you, everyone, for joining another episode of iTOO TV, where we were coming to you live from DroneCon at Emperor's Palace, where iTOO Special Risk was a sponsor. My name is Tove Sitole, Head of Brand and Talent at iTOO Special Risk, your epic partner in specialty insurance.